The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Welcome to the Influencer's Edge. This is the place where you come to get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques to leapfrog over the pack in sales, persuasion, and influence. Be sure you visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, tune in, and enjoy today's episode.
Okay, welcome to the Influencer's Edge. And today you're going to see me smiling ear to ear the whole episode because my guest today is one of the most joyous and happy and loving human beings I've ever met in my life. I am so proud to call him a colleague and a friend and a teacher of mine. He is just an unbelievable dude. When I first met him, well, we'll get into this. Welcome, Carlos Siqueira. Carlos!
What's up, brother Paul? Pleasure being here, my friend.
You know, I
Happy
have to tell you,
holidays for
I
everybody.
first met you 3 or 4 years ago in San Diego, and when I have to confess, when I first met you, I thought this guy's manic. He needs medication.
I remember riding the bicycle into that event in San Diego. You know me with the bicycle and the bread.
Yes, it was. I think it was raining. Oh no, that was Arizona. So I'm going to go through your bio real fast, but I'm going to stop throughout the bio because there's so much in the bio. So Carlos is dedicating to catalyzing powerful transformations. Let's pause right there. What does transformation mean to you, and what are the most important elements of a transformation? What does transformation mean to you?
Transformation for me, Paul, is draw a line in the sand, right? It's like some people like right now, like, they are stuck. We keep, repeating the same old patterns. I call this self-identity BS. What is the media or others, they implant in ourselves. And growing up in Brazil, I just saw my mom and my grandma being abused for so long, and myself, and we've been come from very poverty backgrounds. And I was just, enough is enough. I was just tired of being poor, of accepting lack, of hearing them behind closed doors, being abused, and myself being beaten and bullied. And it got to a point where I was like, I got to do something. It's just time to literally, all right, draw a line in the sand. And what am I going to do to make sure that I can, if I'm afraid of the devil and afraid of darkness, I will become the light. I will look the devils in the eye and say, enough is enough. I'm going to take my mom and my grandma away. We're going to leave the barrios, the favelas. We're going to go do something. And we're going to transform. We're going to become that person that we want to see in the mirror, that we wanted to mentor us. Or if you are single, you're going to become that person that you're going to feel in love with, that you're going to marry. Or whatever that thing that you're going to be, that you wanted to become, you wanted to transform into. But we have to take massive action. Because Paul, law of attraction, motivation, inspiration, they work, but, not all the time. What it works all the time is hard work. It's a daily thing, right? That we got to deal with the crap. Even when you achieve higher levels, I call new levels, new devils, you still got to deal with this crap. There's going to be more problems. There's going to be more stuff. And facing it, dealing with it, accepting it, knowing that it's going to be hell. It's going to suck. You're going to feel like quitting. You're going to feel like giving up. And I think that's true transformation. It's just like accepting and finding that peace between light and darkness and being okay, being in those moments and realizing and reminding ourselves that we are humans just like everybody else. They might see us on the stage, on that bicycle, that I'm throwing that bread on the celebrities at the Oscars. But that's temporary, right? I inspire you guys, empower you guys in the audience, and with tips and transformation, and achieve your most wildest dreams. But it's gonna get to a point where you're like, okay, I reached the top of the mountain, thinking that that's gonna be true happiness, but that's actually just the beginning of the next mountain. Transformation is truly becoming that person where when others see you and their eyes light up because they've seen you, because you are bringing the joy without no expectations in return. It doesn't matter if I tell you I love you, Paul. I don't care if you say I love you back. It's feeding my body, my soul, my spirit. You know what I mean? I think that's the true transformation. And I don't think we talk often about that. So it's actually a very powerful question, brother. I appreciate that question.
Yeah, well, as I told you, I will ask questions, the ones that tickle my own curiosity. So I hear a lot of people talking about transformation, but what do you think are some of the things that get in the way of people actually getting there? I know, well, let's deal with one of them that I can see right away. It's if a client comes to you, and I know you deal with very high-powered people, and you also deal with people, every human being is high-powered because we're all children of the Most High. I get it. We're all high-powered, but we don't recognize it. So what do you do with someone who's just been stuck in their willingness to do the work? They have a vision, but something is holding them back from doing the work. Other than kicking them in the ass, which I get, but what are their strategies? If there's someone out there in my audience saying, I have a vision, but something is just getting in my way of doing the work, what would you say to them on a practical level? What's a practical tip you can give them?
One of the things that I used to do, right, when I was a kid, I was like, it's gonna be days that, I mean, imagine you're selling bread to helping your mother, and then you sell all the bread, and you're 7 years old, and you're on your way back home, and you get robbed, and you're working so hard. Not only you get robbed, you get beaten. And it's just like it gets to a point where you're like, no, you're trying so hard, you're trying to help your mother, you're tired of seeing her crying behind closed doors, being abused, and you getting abused, and you out there, you decide, okay, I'm gonna go work, I'm 7 years old, so I can help my mom, we can make more money. And then you start doing it, and then here we go, now you start getting robbed, now you start getting beaten. So the abuse now, it's not just mental, it's physical. Now it's not just inside your own home, it's on the streets. And now you want to quit. You're like, all right, I give up. So, and it gets, but then, okay, how do you even break from that pattern, right? And I went back as I think about this, about to answer this question. I kept reminding myself, why am I even doing this? And then I kept going. That's why the why gotta be so big. Yeah, we hear people saying, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not a big enough why. But it's so much beyond that. You gotta have that why, that vision, that mission statement. You gotta pause this holiday. You gotta literally pause, be away from Netflix on your cell phone for a few hours. Go journal for as fast as possible for 2 minutes. Don't think about anything. Let your subconscious mind kicks in. When you write as fast as possible for 2 minutes without thinking about it, without the analytical mind of ours, we all have that shit. Sorry, my French. But you start writing as fast as possible for 2 minutes. What is my mission? What is my purpose? What is my vision? What do I really want to do out of this short life that I have here on this planet? What is the audacious dream that I have? My good friend Tony Shea, rest in peace, founder of Zappos. I always hang out at his compound in Vegas. All the CEOs and musicians, we come over there, we hang out. We had a great time, llamas walking around and animals and wild animals. And we always talk about our dreams and our visions. And the whole team was something that Tony always talk about. If you're gonna dream, dream bigger. If you're gonna think bigger. Because the only shit, man, that's gonna get us going, Paul, when we are stuck in that rut, in the imposter syndrome, I'm getting robbed, I'm being cheated, I am, not getting enough clients, the business is not growing, the relationship sucks, la da da, children not talking to me, whatever their problems may be. Same old problems for everybody. It's just different levels. What it got me going was getting back to that why and that vision and that journaling as fast as possible to remind me Why am I even doing this? And now you want to take it to another level. Who am I doing it for? And you
Mm.
see, when you ask these questions, Paul, and you literally you pausing it, you breaking a massive pattern, and you reminding yourself, in especially in the state of chaos, why am I even doing this? And who am I doing it for? And now you have that answer, that mission statements, that's so vivid. You write it on a post-it note and you put it in your computer, in your glass. It's silly, right? In your car, in your vision board, in your cell phone. Like when my let me see the phone. You have that, right? Why am I doing this? Look at me. I bring the silliness. Me hugging my daughter, my wife, with the mask, with the heart coming out. Like it's Carlos at its essence, right? Silly, wild, funny, crazy as hell.
Love
Because
that.
that Carlos right there will bring the best out of him, that will then be able to serve others at the highest level. And that's the biggest thing, is really go way beyond the traditional personal development. Oh, just like if your why is not big enough, it's gonna make you cry. No, it gotta be a combination of all. You gotta have that thing on a vision board, on your cell phone, on a post-it note. You gotta pre-frame yourself and program your mind where when chaos hit, what is it gonna keep me going? I gotta remind myself, who am I doing it for? And why am I even doing this? Because sometimes we are doing things that's to please everybody else, right? Our parents, our spouse, our children, our friends. But and then deep inside, we like Robin Williams, that was broken, that was making the whole world happy but himself. And then he went on taking his own life. He could have called my buddy Tony Robbins and say, hey, Tony, they were friends. He helped me deal with this shit. Could have called Paul, right? Could have called myself. Could have called one of us that knows how to deal with this. And sometimes just, I don't want to call Paul. I don't want to call Tony Robbins. I don't want to call Carlos. I don't want to call whatever. But sometimes that one call, something that we're not used to do anymore. Now everything is emoji, it's text. There's no feelings there.
No.
And I think we got to reset. I think we got to reset and go back in time, put our religious, political, and whatever other beliefs on the side, and be humans again. Respect one another. Agree to disagree. Talk about the shit that's bothering us, that's hunting us at night. And then going back to the beginning, when we were children, when we were young, those audacious dreams, why are we doing it for? And who are we doing it for? What is the reason why I really wanted to do this? Become an astronaut, go to Mars, to go, I don't know, pilot a submarine, jump off a F-15, parachute at 30,000 feet. Why won't I do this shit? Build a school and hospital in cities, and bring children that don't have moms and dads so they can come over there. So we can have people like Paul, like myself, to teach them, to give some of our time and help educate them, father them, mother them. Why we are doing all this, right? And that's the stuff that's gonna get us going, Paul. It's not a simple answer, brother. It's like that daily struggle. I tell people, I asked a billionaire before, what does it feel like being a billionaire? And he told me, Carlos, it's just another comma in the bank account. The insecurities, still there. The anxiety, still there. The comparison, still there. And
That's
never
the worst.
It never goes.
Thing
It
is,
never goes away, brother. You know it.
that's the worst. I have to ask this because you're such an avatar, an example of enthusiasm and love. And do you ever have your depressed days? Well, I know you have faith, so you probably don't ever have depressed days, but do you ever have days where you're crying out thinking, why is this happening to me? What, do you understand what I'm asking you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. I had some stress days. I mean, many of them, to a point where I had to sold. I was very. I have these deep emotions and ties. That's why you never want to feel in love with anything. I was very emotionally tied to my farms in Brazil because my stepfather was murdered.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, my father died in a car explosion in a car accident. I have a lot of friends that they die because of farm dealings and violence. And my brother is 7 years younger than me. His father was the one that was murdered. My brother's totally different. He's like white, green eyes, but Brazilian, full blood. And he's like a son to me. And our dream was, to own farms and to help others and to feed other people in times of chaos, donate food and money above and beyond the tax bracket when nobody was watching. There was no cameras back then. And we started buying the farms. I have him manage them, but we started attracting violence again. People were jealous of us. They were robbing us. They were attempt to kidnapping my family. We had so many situations where they would block the road, to kidnap us, to kill us. And I guess I was so attached, him and I, to those farms because of our fathers and because of the things that we say, that we could have sold it a long time ago. People often say, why did you guys don't sell it? I don't know. You can call it the ego. I don't think it's not even ego. It's just like we that was the bond, brother bond that we had to say we're gonna continue with this shit. But and then it was becoming to a point where, I told him, I don't. It's not worth our lives, man. We got kids. We have all these children that we help, that we mentor around the world, not just our own blood kids, but it's not. We gotta sell this shit. It's just
Pause,
not worth it.
pause. So this is a message I'm hearing, and the thought I'm formulating is everyone says never quit, never quit, never quit. But there's some situations where wisdom dictates you quit, you get out.
Yeah.
So am I correct, or am I? So
Bro,
how do you balance?
it was anxiety on me. I will be on a stage, Paul, speaking. I don't care whether Google or a corporate stage, and you got a call, you close $100,000 deal. Your client call, hey Carlos, I just got on another stage, made 50 grand, and I'm celebrating with that client. And the next call, brother, it was my brother in Brazil. They're trying to kidnap her mom. Here we go, and then the anxiety kicks in. I come from an overweight family. What do we do? Go eat,
Eat.
right? Sugar. I used to lose a lot of weight, gain it right back. And again, it was the anxiety, was that fear of, man, I don't know what if my mother would die or my brother or myself. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, is it worth it? Like, have all this farm. I love it. The contribution and the giving back. That's the part that really, you know, you cannot put a price, right, in feeding people and helping people. But at the end of the day, it's like, is it worth your life? So it's like, so it was the internal battle. And that's why I say the training never stops. But and then it got to a point where there was so many attempts and people dying. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. F it. Let's just sell 90% of the shit in the most danger areas. And let's just keep smaller ones far away from those zones where they allow people to invade your properties. But
I
that's
guess
not in politics, right? In certain Brazilian politics, they allow people to invade your properties. You cannot push them out for years. Certain politics say if somebody have invade your property, you can put a gun on them and say, get out without shooting them. I mean, I'm not a violent person. And because I always preach, an eye for an eye only makes the entire world blind.
yeah.
But you see, but Paul, it's the internal battle right there. That's the stuff that used to keep me up at night. And then we think about, guys, all your addictions, right? I turn into food. Some people turn into alcohol, into drugs, into cheating, and all these are subconscious patterns. If you really pause to analyze, to journal, and to internalize the shit that keeps you up at night, and what does that come from? See, I didn't want to deal with it. It took me years, 10 years to sit down and follow what I preach, to realize that, I cannot be too attached to these things. I get it. I'm doing for the contribution, for the promise that I made my brother that we're going to do this until we die. But and then is it worth it? If we die, then we won't be able to accomplish what we really wanted to build, more communities, more hospitals, more schools, and feed more people and do more things that we don't talk about. It's just between us and God. We don't even put our names. You know how sometimes people, they build a school or a street and they put their name on the street?
Yes.
I'm not doing it for that. You know what I mean? It's like, and so that why Depo, a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it. But I think talking about it early on, it was a mistake that I didn't do. I wish I would have done it 10 years, you know what I mean? Like without having to deal. I recently sold this past, 1-2 years. I wish I would have done it when my daughter born, you know? So people, they don't see that, Carlos, that has to do with international crime and people coming after my family, going against cartels and governments because of what I built, because I don't talk about it much. You know what I mean? I talk here and there on my podcast. Oh, I just came from Brazil where I dealt with a kidnap situation. Thank God everything is okay. But I never I don't try not to put it out there. You know, I mean, I try to keep it things inspiring on social media, and because what is wrong is always
I
available.
think
So
this
what is right.
pause, if I could, with respect, my friend. I think this is inspiring. I think it's not pretty, but it is inspiring for people to hear that someone as joyous and as successful as you has to deal with some scary, painful shit. I think it's very inspiring. You know, we both know James Malinachek. We know
Yeah.
James, and James said something very powerful. He said, people want to hear your mess to your success, but people, I'll add on to this. I'll add on to that and say people want to see your vulnerability. They want to see your pain. They want to know that you're human. The question, though, that really arises for me is a lot of people talk about enthusiasm and vision boarding, and that's necessary. But also, where do you think the role of making good decisions comes into play? And what are some keys to making good decisions? Because I haven't heard anyone, maybe I've not been paying sufficient attention to your work, and for that I apologize, my friend. I don't see a lot of people who are transformational teachers. I don't consider you a motivational speaker. I consider you to be a transformational teacher who uses the motivational speaker as a selling point. But I'm not saying you don't motivate and you're not a brilliant speaker. But where is the role in making good decisions? And what do you think are some of the keys to making good decisions?
That's a great question, Paul. It's a really good question. And normally I always tell people, you know, to master, right, the art of, I've been talking a lot of lately about like attention marketing and mastering the art of public speaking. Because you and I know when you speak on a stage, on a podcast, you build automatically credibility and authority, which if you get on more stages where your avatar, your ideal clients is going to be sitting there, you're going to attract more people into your world without being spamming, right? Without, you know, constantly, spamming your email list or messaging friends and family, you know, and all these things that you and I see so often. But, you know, so I really want you guys to think about one thing that I do as far as decisions is start asking better questions, right? Before putting anything out, before making a decision, before putting out a podcast, before putting out a post, a video, before creating something. I want you guys to really think about your decision making process and ask yourself, okay, if I make this decision, will that serve the greater good? Would that serve my causes? Would that serve my family? Will that serve my friends? Will that serve my employees? Will that serve my clients? I think we got to go a few layers deep within our thought process, Paul, which is something that we're not trained to think, right? We're trained to be
No.
reactive. So I think we got to go back. And I often talk about rewiring, resetting, right? And really asking a few extra questions before making a decision. And over the years, Paul, by asking multiple questions about serving my family, my causes, my employees, my loved ones, my clients, would that serve them? And if my answer is yes to most of these questions, now I know that, okay, great, that would be a great post to do. That would be a great video to do. That would be a great podcast to put out because I know it will serve so many people by putting that one piece of content or by making that one decision. So it's something that I highly recommend you guys is don't have that urge to press that post, that video, that post. So ask yourself, because what would that do? You know, like, you know, Mr. Beast often talks about, oh, you know, you want to triple your views, just, you know, have better ideas. So you triple your views, you triple your file. Okay, how do you get better ideas? You know, you gotta think. You really do. Let's go. We see Mr. Beast. He doesn't go a layer deep. He talks about it, but then okay, you want to know how? You gotta hire the guy. You gotta hire his team, or you gotta hire some gurus out there and pay them 100 grand. What if the person doesn't have 100 grand? What if it's a kid like I was in Brazil that is in Africa selling their bread or their jewelry or their little empanada, making 25 cents a day, getting paid $100 a month? You know what happened? What about that person, right? So now, thank God, because of social media, anybody can become a celebrity and you can blow it up. But you got
Yes.
to go back to this point, the decision, but it got become a better decision. Really understand your decision-making process, going very deep into the subconscious level. Now, really asking those powerful questions: will this serve me, my family, my causes, the end goals? And now, really taking time, processing your thinking, right? I call it stinking thinking. Really, when is the last time I ask questions when I'm on the stage that you think about your own thinking, right? If you're going to doubt something, why not doubt your own doubts? You
Brilliant.
see,
Meta doubt. Yes, I've
you
heard
know what I
this.
mean, brother? It's really going deep, Paul, on a whole nother level, brother, because that's going to help us make better decisions, put out better content, become better critical thinkers, have a better thinking really throughout process before putting anything out there. A book, a lot of people, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to have GPT help me. You're just going to be like everybody else. You know what I mean? It's like your competitors are fishing, guys, in the same pond. I say you build your ocean. That's thinking.
What a great
You
metaphor.
know what I mean? It's like let's
And that's so
hey,
true. That's so true. And as when I was a pioneer and an innovator in the seduction thing, and everyone knows on my audience is Ross Jeffries. Believe me, I got a lot of axes and axes and rocks thrown at me, and I just got more encouraged. I used to think their hate just makes me stronger.
I'm telling you, brother. I'm telling you, it's using just use whatever the thing that bothers you, transform that into a message, into a powerful message that's captivating, that you can now tell stories and you can teach frameworks. Come up with some cool frameworks. If you are talking to a leadership group at corporate America, I often um, use a framework. What is KGS? A leader is the one that knows the way. A leader is the one that goes the way, and a leader is the one that shows the way, right? So see, people remember by framework because it's the initials. That's why I have to think about, okay, KGS, knows, goes, and shows, right? So that's a true leader. So when I'm talking, and now I can tell you stories about that framework. They are so powerful and captivating that now they're going to be like, oh, wow, I need to hire Carlos, to come in and talk to my team.
Yes, I love
And
this. In NLP, we call this meta, M-E-T-A, meta levels and opening and closing loops. I don't know if you've studied NLP or not, or you're just naturally good at it. But
no, I started a little bit. I learned it as a kid on the streets. Like I was imitating people making sounds, not even knowing what that was. By the time that I went to school and I went through so many personal development masterminds and groups, and I saw them teaching NLPs and hypnosis, I was like, I've been doing some of those things since
yes,
I was a kid, and I didn't even know. So I kind of naturally learned it, which was better because I can be different than everybody else. And I always tell people, do what others don't do, can't do, and will not think of doing, right? Really kind of don't just try to be like everyone else. I call the sea of sameness. Try to separate, be the one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, don't try to copycat everybody else. Like, original is word way more than a copy. Let that sink in for a minute.
oh no, I believe me, I've been copied and I had an attorney many years ago. I don't want to make this show about me, but just from my perspective, affirming what you said. I had an attorney many years ago and said, "There's so many people copying you. We should sue all of them." I said, "No, no, I can create faster than they can copy."
I'm telling you. Remember how I told you I might bring it up a story? One of my
Yeah,
good old mentors, Jean Laborde, legendary, the
NLP.
god, the godmother of NLP, leadership, hypnosis. She was just the master.
And she
She
never
died.
got the credit. If I could, she never got the credit she deserved. Never.
I never. And if you really think about it, she was the one. She was partners with John Grinder and Richard Bandler, but she was the brain behind both of them. And a funny story about the three of them, she's like, "Yeah, Carlos, I see you with Tony Robbins. I see you on the stage because she lives in Palo Alto, and back then I used to live not that far from her in Foster City in California,
Oh,
and I always come to her house in Palo Alto every Friday. We would throw like parties, wine and cheese, and all these leaders and big timers from Facebook, Google, Oracle and all these big companies, Apple in Silicon Valley, they will come and hang out. And and she's always, I can fix anything in 20 seconds. And she would use some of her NLP, some of her touches, and she would anchor a story.
Yes.
But she like, you guys want to hear something crazy? She's like, yes. Talking about copying. She's like, yeah, Carlos, the Latino Tony Robbins. She used to joke with me. I say, hey, Ginny, remember my wife says Tony's the Brazilian Carlos. We like that better. And then she like, that big tooth guy, he's stolen few pages off my book and put it on his book, just like that. And then Grinder and Bandler, I'm talking about John Grinder and Richard Bandler. For some of you guys don't know those guys, are
We had Richard on my show. I had Richard on my show.
Legendary leaders in the NLP space, leadership. Like, oh, these are OG dudes, like the guys that the leaders listen to, like of founders and CEOs of Fortune 50, 500 companies. But Bandler and Richard goes to her and Grinder, hey, let's sue him. And she's like, let's do it. But then Richard and John, he said, but look, since you are wealthier than us, she was very rich. You go and sue them. Sue Tony Robbins. And then she's like, you cheap bastards. Just because of that, I'm not gonna sue the big tooth dude. She went on not suing him, because Grinder and Bandler didn't want to contribute equally for to pay for the lawyer. And but yeah, man, those three, they were characters, man. Just shout out to all three of them, just true legends of personal development. Jean came from a world where she would call, Sony, IBM, hey, send me 7, 10 guys, pay me 5,000, 7,000 a pop, and we'll do a little 1 week, 5 days, 3 days, little leadership development program. That's the world that she comes, right? 70s, 80s, 90s. And she went through the shingle right around social media time. So she was 7 years gone. Let's say, think about the beginning of Facebook, erased 7 years, let's say 07 to 014. Now she's coming back in the game. What is Facebook? What is all this thing going on? She lives in Palo Alto, but she was so sick. She's old, she was in her 80s back then. And then, so, I was like, all right, let's you and I become a trader. We're going to trade knowledge. We're going to be farmers. You're going to teach me all about, leadership and NLP and all this fun stuff. And your magical 20 seconds, I can fix anything. And then I'm going to show you, the power of attention marketing. I'll be able to capture their attention. You have 0 to 3 seconds. What do you think about it, right? It goes right back to the decision-making process. We have 0 to 3 seconds. What do we want it to do, right? Attention marketing. What is it going to make them stop? What is it going to make them engage? What is it going to make them share our content? See, when you ask those 3 questions before you hit the post button, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to help you create much better content. Again, to go one up on Mr. Beast, just have better ideas. No, let's take that one layer deep.
You brought up something really, really, really brilliant. I've often said that focus is the currency of any kind of influence, persuasion, seduction. And nowadays, people I remember YouTube when the ads were 90 seconds long and you had to watch them. Can you imagine anyone sitting through a 90-second ad of any YouTube ad nowadays? No way. It's social media has destroyed people's attention spans, and it's a culturally, I don't know if there's some sinister plot, but it certainly has not helped people's attention spans or the ability to make good decisions. Because
so funny you bring that up, Paul. I went to a friend. I've been traveling a lot, the holidays. I went to a friend's house, very wealthy, and they had Disney Plus going on. And Disney Plus, they have different levels, right? With ads, without the ads. And this is a very wealthy friend. And I'm not going to say any names. But then an advertise came through, and it was a bunch of kids, younger kids, aged like 10 to 15. And it was like, whatever, right? I don't know. There's Disney Plus, I guess it was like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, multiple ads. And they were like freaking out. And I was like, dude, back in my days in the 90s, have 5-6 minute ads, but it was crazy. They always start throwing a fit, the younger generation and the older generation. They were looking at each other, were like seriously, That's 90 seconds. That's
You're the
2 minutes.
younger generation than me, dude. I remember when we had 5 channels on the TV, and no, no, let's not even go. I have a
You know?
personal question for you, and you need
Yes,
not,
sir.
we'll delete it if you don't want to answer it. Every super successful person I have talked to, either on this podcast or my niece, you may have heard of my niece, Vanessa Van Edwards. Have
Yep.
you heard of Vanessa?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my beautiful, beloved genius niece. I asked her this question. So I'll ask you this question. Could you be where you are in life? Could you be the success you are without your spouse, without your queen?
No. I think, like I'm gonna be celebrating what 18 years a week from now, 3 days from now.
Wow.
18 years married, and behind every you hear this a lot. Behind every successful person, that is a stronger person behind. And we went through hell, man, with my daughter and her being born with a condition that isn't a cure for it. And I cannot even, just no way. All the time that it took, it's like, if you think about it, right? Even if you like, if people say, oh, your spouse, stay home mom and work from, like, no, no, she's the business partner. She's the other half of the things that the spouse does, and nobody talks about or give them enough credit. You know me, I always show her love, and I create poems for her. I
Yeah.
talk about her from the stage,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's like I always show love no matter what. And it's no way, what I mean, to be. And then if you go back in time, even if you study and if you look super successful people, they have, great marriages. Like look at Steve Jobs, very been married for a long, long time. Look, some of the Jim Rome, like, I don't know, I can go on and on and on with some of the legendary people that we know. And
Every person I've had, Vanessa told me the same thing. She just, no way, no way, like immediately like that. So I got to find a wife, dude. I never
tell
thought
you, but
that.
that's why, like, I was like, okay, hold on, let's think. We're like, no way, because it's so much that they do that you wouldn't be able to do. Because think about the time that it takes to do certain things. That when you have a partner, that's why it's so hard sometimes when you are married for so long and one dies. You know, it's like a part of you isn't there. Like, we all do. Like, even when we cooking together, or doing a family thing, we all cooking certain things separated. It's like different parts. It's like, it's just hell no.
No,
It's
I
like,
know. Thank you.
it's no way. And time is one asset that you can never buy it back. I mean, it's I get it nowadays. We can have an AI robot, but yeah, that you can buy an AI from Elon for 20, 30,000, and then to do the tasks and to do some stuff at home that your spouse may would do or whatever. But that robot doesn't have a soul, doesn't have a spirit. It cannot love you like your loved one would do. You
No.
know, you can get creative, but you still,
We have
so
end of our time, but I want to have you back. Number one. Number two, you're so amazing. I know my audience wants to stay in the conversation with
praise
you.
the
How
Lord.
can they do that? How can my audience say, we want more? I know they're thinking, I want more Carlos. How do they stay in the conversation with you, Carlos?
Oh man, thank you, man, for the kind words. You know me, Paul. You and I, we OGs, man. It's no, it's teleprompt. It's just us being us. And at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this conversation. You got me thinking about a lot of the things that I preach, and I spend a lot of time. I'm always on social media. I post daily. As
Tell
a
us
habit that
where.
I have.
Tell
I'm
us where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Carlos Inspire on both. On YouTube, Carlos Inspires in the plural, and then by my name, Carlos Siqueira on LinkedIn. Those are the places that I spend a lot of time. I put a lot of golden nuggets, things that most people charge a lot of money. So we'll appreciate if you guys follow me there. Also, my podcast. Every week I release an episode. If you guys could follow me there on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa. If you could go on each one of them, drop a 5-star review and a like, called carlosinspireshow.com. That will take you to Apple, but if you type in Carlos Inspire Show on Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, You guys could follow me there. I interview a lot of incredible, amazing, legendary people, baby. Yes, sir. We're going to be having a talk in there, So a lot of great people that have been throughout the show. So definitely those are the places that you guys can follow me. And then you're going to catch Poe in there in one of those episodes. And then we're going to have a great time.
We'll
I
talk
bet you
about
just like
that.
we had it.
Carlos, stay on with me for a little green room chat after. You've been one of the most inspiring guests we have ever had on the show, and you have so much love, a heart bursting with love. It comes across. Your charisma is palpable, but I think it comes from the love, the unconditional, amazing love. Love conquers all, and that's what my belief ultimately. In the end, it may not seem that way. There may be darkness, and there is a lot of darkness in the world. So it's our job to be the light, and you certainly are a very bright one, a searchlight for so many people. So this has been an amazing episode of The Influencer's Edge. We'll see you next time. I can't guarantee we'll have a guest as good as Carlos, but I do my best. Thanks now.
The Influencer's Edge is brought to you by the Rapid Sales Accelerator. If you're ready to skyrocket your sales by 30% or more in just 90 days, then you need to claim your free training right now. You'll learn 4 words that will compel your prospects to trust you like they were children within the first 3 to 5 minutes of any conversation across any platform and any medium. You'll learn how to give your prospects objection amnesia, to crush objections like, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more time to think it over, or it's too expensive. If you'd like to claim your free training now, go to www.paulrossbook.com. Do it before your competition does it now. Thank you for tuning in to The Influencer's Edge, where you get the latest breakthroughs, cutting-edge insights, tools, and techniques so you can leapfrog over the pack in sales, influence, and persuasion. Remember to visit our website at www.theinfluencersedge.com to enjoy even more great episodes like this one. We look forward to seeing you again on The Influencer's Edge Show.